Now I know that I said that there will never be another fight like Naruto vs Sasuke, and while that is still true, there are still so many more amazing fights in this series. Naruto is one of my all-time favorite series, and it has some of the greatest fights of all time. And ironically, Naruto vs Sasuke isn't my favorite fight in the entire series. That honor goes to Might Guy versus Madara Uchiha. This fight was amazing for a multitude of different reasons. So first we have Madara, one of the greatest characters in all of Naruto. For the entire series, this man has been a walking legend, and he has definitely lived up to the hype, killing both Naruto and Sasuke. And on top of that, he has become the 10 Tails Jinchuriki. And with both of our main protagonists killed, who is left to fight against Madara? We have Minato, Kakashi, Gaara, and my king, Might Guy. Put some respect on the man that is about to throw hands with the strongest living character in the entire verse. So I feel that Might Guy is a very underrated character. One of the things that Kishimoto does really well is make a lot of cool characters. The only problem with him is he doesn't develop half of them. Most of the characters in Naruto never really get the spotlight they deserve, and Might Guy is the definition of a wasted character. This character should have been in a lot more fights and had a lot more spotlight in the entire series. He is literally one of the coolest characters. But after Gaara vs Lee, Might Guy takes a backseat to the rest of the story. He has some prominent battles in the beginning of Shippuden, but they really bring him around at the end of the series when Naruto is learning how to control Kurama. And we get a lot more Might Guy action. But we are at the end of the series, and I really wanted more Might Guy. So Kishimoto realized that I have this amazing character, and now it's time to put him to work. And what better way than to go against the strongest character in the verse? While Obito is trying to heal Naruto, and while Kabuto is healing Sasuke, Guy steps up to take on Madara. He first tanks a Truth Seeker orb that was going directly at Kakashi with just his 8 inner gates formation. I have no idea how he deflected something like that, but he was able to stop it and protect Kakashi, which is already an incredible feat. But the battlefield isn't looking that good. The only effective jutsu against Madara was Sage Jutsu, but Minato lost both of his arms and there's no way to regenerate them, so he can't use Sage Jutsu anymore. But luckily enough, Taijutsu is also effective in dealing against those who have the Sage of Six Paths power. And Guy is like the most proficient user of Taijutsu in the entire series. And Guy wastes no time trying to catch this fade. Without even thinking, he goes into the 7th gate, the Gate of Shock, and starts throwing hands with Madara as the Blue Beast. He even whips out Hiradura, which really doesn't do anything against Madara. And Madara even says that you insult me by not bringing out the red vapor. When I read this, I started gyrating in my chair, uncontrollably. One of my favorite things about anime and manga is a great callback. I absolutely love it when an author sets something up at the very beginning of the series, and then you see it pay off hundreds of chapters later. So at the beginning of the series, when the 8 inner gates are introduced during Rock Lee vs Gaara, Kakashi says that if you open the 8th one, you will gain immense power, but you will die. And to be honest, I never really thought we would get this moment. I never thought we would see the full potential of the 8 inner gates, especially with how this final war was going, because it was just back-to-back action, and I never really saw a place where Might Guy would be fitted into the story, until now. When Kakashi is about to count Might Guy out, Might Guy says this: "Our youth has not faded. It's true that everything we wish for will not come to be, but the things that we ought to do must always begin with a wish. Just like my challenges to you. Konoha's wild blue beast is no more. It's time for the red beast to emerge." The concept of the springtime of youth is a belief that even in old age, one can maintain a youthful mindset and spirit. The beautiful thing about being young is that you have limitless potential. You can become anything you really want to. But as you grow up, your field of vision narrows until you're on the path that carries you into your adulthood. But it's terrifying seeing those endless paths and endless possibilities close as you get older. And it makes you wonder if there's anything really good about growing up. And while Guy is charging towards Madara and opening that final gate, we are treated to a Might Guy flashback. We are introduced to Might Guy's father, Might Dai. His flashback is very reminiscent of Might Guy and Lee's backstory. Might Guy is a little kid training alongside his father and doing the typical Rock Lee training like running 500 laps. We see a lot of the village making fun of both Might Guy and Might Dai because they're just really weird characters wearing ridiculous suits. And the Shinobi make fun of Might Dai because he is known as the Eternal Genin. After all of these years, Might Guy hasn't graduated from being a genin. Now Might Guy doesn't tolerate anyone talking shit about his father, so he stands up for him but gets beat up in the process. And while in the hospital, Might Guy asks his father how he stays so positive and when does one's youth end. And Might Guy responds by saying, as long as you never turn your back on youth, it never ends. And Might Guy, obviously being very confused by this, says, but what if you die? Youth doesn't mean anything in death, and youth doesn't guarantee that you win against someone strong, like what happened to me. And Might Guy educates Guy that your youth climaxes in death, that's when it burns the brightest. And true victory isn't about winning against someone strong, it's about defending what's important to you. And this directly parallels what Might Guy taught Lee when Lee first used the gates against Gaara back in part 1. It was to be used to defend one's ninja way. We also get to see how Might Guy learned the 8 inner gates from his dad. His father might be known as the Eternal Genin, but after 20 long years, he has finally grasped the 8 inner gates formation, and that's the only move he can pass down to Guy. But to use this technique, you must impose a self-rule. We then skip a couple years to see a more teenage Guy surrounded by the 7 swordsmen of the mist. And when all hope is lost, Might Guy shows up. Guy's questioning how a genin is allowed to be on this battlefield, but Might Guy refuses to even acknowledge that. He says that I'm here to buy you guys some time, so please get going. And confused on how Might Guy is going to win, Might Guy says I still have the 8th gate, the gate of death, and I'm using this technique with our self-rule in mind. And as Might Guy opens the 8th gate, we see what that self-rule is. To protect something precious enough to give your life for. And I love this scene so much because you see the parallels between Guy and his father, and the same amount of resolve and sacrifice that Might Guy displayed is now being carried by Might Guy as we head into the future. And this is Madara's first time seeing the 8 inner gates opened, and he comments on the red color. It's the color of dead autumn leaves that have fallen out of their tree. What Guy says next is the most important thing he has ever said in the series and really drives home the message of Naruto. He says that you're not wrong, but they're not falling for no purpose or reason. They're to become the nourishment for the fresh green leaves. Now, one of the biggest central themes of Naruto is the will of fire. It's the idea that love is the key to bring peace, and it's what the village was founded upon. But it became more than that as the series went on. We see it more as a wish for the future. When the 3rd Hokage died, he died smiling knowing that he protected the village and that he has defended the future of the Hidden Leaf. And Asuma, before he died, reinforces this belief when he talks to Shikamaru one last time. He says, remember our conversation about the king? The king are the unborn children that will continue to take care of the leaf. And many other important characters represent this idea as the series has gone on. And it's really cool to see that Might Guy is considered amongst the great characters in the series as those that propagate the belief in the future. And what used to be so scary about the future and growing up now doesn't seem that bad. And like Might Guy said, as long as you never turn your back on youth, it never really ends. You don't have to let your possibilities and potential narrow as you grow older, as long as you always remain young in heart. But Might Guy also taught me that the most important gift about being an adult is that at some point in your life, your goals aren't going to be the most important thing anymore, and that you'll shift your focus on what you can leave behind for others. And that the whole point of the power of youth is to be of service to others. And that's when youth is at its climax. And as Guy begins his fight with Madara, his youth burns the brightest as he defends Lee in the next generation. And this fight is truly amazing as we see the height of Guy's power and how every move he makes destroys his body from the inside out. And Lee, watching his master put his life on the line for him, nourishes Lee's development even further. And he is okay with Might Guy's passing because Might Guy had resolved himself to do this. And all he can do is help out his master. So him, Kakashi, Minato, and Gaara are backup while Might Guy takes center stage one last time. And the Evening Elephant is such a cool move. Might Guy starts barraging Madara with air blasts. Madara can't even keep up, even in the Sage of Six Paths mode. He resorts to using the Truth Seeker orbs to protect himself from Might Guy's onslaught. But thanks to Lee and the team, Guy is able to land a clean hit on Madara. But unfortunately, that's not enough to take out the GOAT himself. So all Guy has is his last attack. As Guy is charging up his final move, we get one last flashback from Kakashi. It's when Kakashi first met Might Guy outside of the academy. Kakashi is heading for his first day at the academy, and Kakashi's dad mistakes Guy as one of the new students, but unfortunately, Guy failed the exam. And of course, Might Guy laughs off this awkward conversation, but Kakashi really isn't having it. He's like, I don't think this is really funny. And besides, Guy can't even use ninjutsu or genjutsu, so how could he become a ninja? But at this point in the story, Guy fully believes in the power of youth and what his dad has always preached, so he asks Kakashi for his name and says thank you for your support. Kakashi's dad sees how beaten and bruised Guy is and says, Kakashi, don't slack off just because you got into the academy. At the rate he's training, he will become stronger than you. You ought to ask for his name and remember it because he'll be a great rival for you. And the academy isn't dumb. This kid will certainly be an alternate. Then we flash back to the present while Guy's charging up his final move, and Kakashi says, Dad, it's exactly as you predicted. And it gave me goosebumps because Kakashi is one of the coolest and most powerful characters in the series. But at this moment, he acknowledged that Guy is stronger than him. And it gets even better. Madara says that I will acknowledge this chakra of yours, and that of all of those who have fought me over the years, there is no one who surpasses you at Taijutsu. And that I, Madara, declare you the strongest of them all. And Guy's chakra takes the form of a dragon. And if that isn't already amazing enough, Guy's chakra and speed is so overwhelming, it starts to bend space. How do you bend space? Madara is continually shocked by this man as he launches his last attack. And in the aftermath of that blow, Madara says that you almost killed me. There are a handful of ninja that actually managed to impress Madara. And it's insane that Guy did it to this degree. And this fight just encapsulates the entire message of Naruto. That true purpose is not found in personal strength, but in the responsibility we carry for those who will follow. Might Guy's battle against Madara was not about personal glory or victory, but about protecting the future, even at the cost of his own life. By opening the 8th gate, he embraced self-sacrifice, understanding that his actions were meant to empower the next generation. His willingness to burn brightly, even if it meant his own destruction, mirrors the ideals of the springtime of youth. A flame that burns not to consume, but to light the way for those who come after. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you love Might Guy, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace!